Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. This is the privacy and robotics edition. I know you thought I was going to say security. Didn't have a lot of security news. Lots of robo news today. So the evil tech machines are coming to take us all over, basically. But anyway, with that being said, these recorded live Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you'd like to catch the show live, let's go ahead and dive right on in. First and foremost, Maryland is the next state to get your digital driver's license embedded into your iPhone, so you can go ahead and just put all this kind of stuff right under your phone and be like, I can tap my ID, I can show you my ID, we can scan my ID, all this kind of stuff like this, because digital IDs are absolutely 100% totally amazingly secure. Except if you happen to be one of my listeners from New South Wales, you guys have these amazing new driver's IDs, which appears to be super security frauds that appear to be super bad. Extraordinarily easy to forge, and basically the history where this came from is a hacker was kind of mad that his kids were not able to get into something because they didn't have digital IDs, they only had physical IDs. And so they get in there, they're excluded out because they don't have a digital ID with them. So he's like, yeah, let me show you how easy it is to get in. So you end up showing, 18-year-old went there last night with 3 forms of ID. You wouldn't let him in because you don't count physical New South Wales driver's license as valid ID. Really? I know 10 kids you let in regularly with fake digital licenses because they are easy to make. So here are the security claims. According to the press release of the New South Wales government, the implementation is hosted securely on the new service NSW app, locks with a PIN and can be accessed offline, and will provide additional layers of security and protection against identity fraud compared with a plastic driver's license. Designed with a focus on 3 priorities: security, privacy, and greater customer experience. Sounds like an echo from the World Economic Forum, right? Partnerships with cybersecurity and identity theft experts. So basically, they're tracking everything, which have resulted in comprehensive security measures. These guys were actually able to get in there. So Frost would need a source and obtain hardware such as, but not limited to, card printer, NSW holographic security foil, and other security features developed. It turns out that that's not really the case. It's fairly easy to simply hack the encryption keys that send out. So QR code ADPI only transmits name and under 18 status. Whoops. So you can read the article for more information, but the basic bottom line is we're pushing all these digital IDs, but the problem is that the digital IDs are not good. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Twitter pays $150 million fine for using 2-factor login details to target ads. Okay, this was a story that broke a number of years ago. In fact, I complained when I first created the social accounts, and I'm not super active on any of these platforms, but if you happen to have a Twitter account, we do have a SwitchedToLinux Twitter following. Mostly, I just use it to post when a new video goes up and maybe responding to pizza-loving nerds' funny tweets with more funny tweets. That's about the extent that I use Twitter. But that being said, I've always resisted and fought in pushback and fought in pushback, and I'm proud to say I do not have any phone numbers on Twitter. I fought with them enough to get around that nonsense. Basically, they were saying for a long time, well, you can create your Twitter account with a phone number or an email address. Well, it turns out if you used an email address, they would automatically trigger your account as bot activity until you provided a phone number. And then they were turning around and utilizing those phone numbers to target ads to people based on phone numbers, where it's not just, hey, they're not like robocalling you, but they were utilizing the phone number to track down more information about who you are, build friend networks and things like that. Basically, they didn't say that every bit of evidence was like, this is just for 2-factor authentication. We're going to keep your account secure. And they were caught and up using it. In fact, I loved the statement down here. Twitter revealed the problem in October 2019, saying, we recently discovered, okay, this is the company doing the bad deed. We recently discovered that when you provided an email address or phone number for safety or security purposes, for example, 2-factor authentication, this data may have inadvertently been used for advertising purposes. So the company, in their own press release, said, we recently discovered this about our service. PR person's talking again. We can tell their lips are moving. They're lying once again. Bunch of nonsense. So basically, this violated a previous ruling and a previous settlement from the FTC. Twitter, of course, didn't care, and they get slapped with a $150 million fine. Okay, that is like any one of us with a typical average American job having to pay for somebody's Happy Meal at McDonald's, okay? You want to get serious about this, you need to go back and be like, hey, you know that $40 million that Elon Musk is looking to buy? Yeah, we're going to take a quarter of it because you guys are unscrupulous jerks. And if we lose Twitter to bankruptcy, I don't think we have lost anything we can lament over. But yeah, that's what Twitter is up to. Well, Clearview is ordered to delete more data from more countries. So they're ordered to delete facial recognition data belonging to all UK residents. Fourth country to issue such an order. But can it be enforced? Sure it can. Don't mess with is it MI8? Is that the British one? Don't mess with the NI8. They'll just go ahead and start doing backdoor deals with the other Five Eyes, and they're going to make your life kind of crazy unless you completely do everything that they want. I think that there's a little bit of teeth in here, but let me know if do you think there's teeth in this argument or not. Basically says let's see. Controversial facial recognition company Clearview AI has been ordered to delete all data belonging to UK residents by the country's privacy watchdog, the Information Commissioner's Office, ICO. Isn't that the name of the original messaging? Wasn't that ICO? I forget. Let me know in the comments. ICO also fined Clearview $7.5 million for failing to follow UK's data protection laws. What do you think? A company that breaks all these software companies' terms of service doesn't follow the laws. Who would have thought? You know, if only we passed more data privacy laws, these companies wouldn't do it. You know, it's not like we don't have a few anyway. ICQ, that's the messaging app I was thinking of. ICO, that doesn't sound right. ICO icon file? I don't know. ICQ, that was it. Who else had an ICQ account? Let me know in the comments down below. Let's see. Basically, it's, yeah, you guys have to delete a bunch of data. Will they? Probably. The Zuckerschmuckerberg must pay for Cambridge Analytica data scandal DC lawsuit. It says, for anybody keeping records, this happened, was this 10 years ago now? I think it was caught, 5-6 years ago, 7 years ago. Basically, what Zuckerberg was doing is, on the one hand, they had an internal discussion trying to say, hey, we're going to use any amount of data that we can to the furthest possible extent without raising eyebrows and causing mass protest. But at the same time, we're going to work on the public front to make sure that people think that we care about privacy. And so all of this new talk that Meta is now talking about with privacy and privacy and privacy, and we're leading the forefront of privacy. It's a bunch of nonsense. This is literally just them trying to get into the public sphere that they're a privacy-based company so that you feel more comfortable giving them more data, and then they turn around and sell as much data as they possibly can without causing protest. And that basically is what there is an abundance of internal evidence to suggest. And so District of Columbia Attorney General Carl, Racine, has filed a lawsuit against Facebook and Zuckerberg specifically, saying that Zuckerberg, basically trying to hold Zuckerberg personally liable for the Cambridge Analytica scandal. And if they are successful at that, I don't know, that could mean the end for the Zuck in the Facebook. But we'll see. He's got a lot more money than these politicians, so he'll just be passing out dollar bills in the background and see what happens. And on to our final story for the day. The FTC to crack down on companies that illegally surveil children learning online. So in the course of the Koofies, when everyone went home and had to do online school, it made this giant proliferation of online tech education companies where everybody and their brother is vying to put together all of the different, all of the different components to do online education, and all of this stuff involved in data collection for many of them. And basically the school, and this is why I think that all technology used in school cannot, we need absolute laws. A school district may not create accounts for students. The parents must. Here is the reason. I, as a parent, would look down and say, Google does not need my child's birth date, for example, in order to render the service of providing education. Okay? It's enough to say this is a 4th grade child in Mrs. Smith's class. That is enough. They don't need any more than that. But when the school district, who has all of this child's intimate data, they're like, let's just give it all to Google and let Google make accounts. And now Google has perfect data. And you mark my words, in 5, 10, 15 years, we are going to find evidence that this has absolutely unequivocally happened. That when they had started out, Google has been monitoring and tracking these kids, and sure, it's anonymized data that can be easily tied back to those kids at a later date, but they will have all of this anonymous scientific data studying the implications of students being raised in this district or that district or this family or that family, all sorts of basic things, because they know every intimate detail about your children that the school district handed over and you had nothing to do with. All right, but what this law, basically, it's not really a law. It's just them coming out saying, don't do that, because we all know that what type of teeth the FTC has. Yeah, it's like a dead shark with dentures. There is no teeth here at all at the FTC. I mean, very clearly, we just saw how Twitter violated the FTC agreement from a decade ago and then only gets $150 million fine while there's a $40 billion buyout for the company on the table. FTC, have you lost your ever-living mind? Get a little bit of teeth. But what this is basically saying is saying that a parent cannot be forced to sign over COPA protections in order to allow the kid to work online. So basically the tech education applications have to collect the absolute minimum amount of data possible on each individual student and can only hold on to that data only for as long as it takes to render it. This is why the parents need to be directly involved. And as parents, you need to be deeply involved and recognize the importance of the implications of privacy. Okay, there is no earthly reason under the sun why some big corporation funded by government, LGBT, and koofy dollars needs your child's gender that they don't seem to, they basically want to know so they can change it, your birth date, maybe your middle name, all of the other things. They don't need this information, okay? They need some anonymous login information. You can scribble in a random username, scribble in a random password, and access the crap, and nothing else is needed. But that's not the way our world goes. This is just the FTC going like, don't do this, to a bunch of companies that are basically doing it anyway. So that is kind of what it is. Here's basically what the rules are. Prohibitions against mandatory collection. Companies cannot require children to provide more information than is reasonably needed for participation in an activity. Use prohibitions. Ed tech providers that collect personal identification from a child with the school's authorization are prohibited from information. See, the school should not authorize that. The parent should authorize that. And you parents who have children in your school, make sure you change your school board so that the parents authorize any collection of data. And anyway, going on, are prohibited from using the information for any other commercial purposes, including marketing and advertising. Retention limitations. Ed tech providers are prohibited from retaining children's personal information for longer than is necessary to fulfill the purpose to which it is connected. But, Your Honor, we collected the information so we can change them later. And security requirements. EdTech providers must have procedures to maintain confidentiality, security, and integrity of children's personal information, which is why all of them use the lowest bidder in third world nations to accomplish their task. Yeah, I know how that goes. Well, anyway, that is what these guys are up to. If you'd like to help support the channel, we do have affiliates. Today we are actually highlighting not an affiliate, but my science fiction novel. So I've written a science fiction novel called Synaptergy. Deals with some of the issues in our current world. And you can actually head on over to synaptergy.com or tlm.li/s. And when you go over there, you can read the whole first chapter over here. You can listen to it on SoundCloud if you allow, Privacy Badger allows it. And then there's a button over here to click on where to buy. So there's a variety of places you can pick up a copy of the book as well. So with that, let's head on over to Robo News. First up in robot news, Argo AI, a new fully driverless vehicles, is testing their vehicles in Miami and Austin. So you guys in Miami and Austin, watch out for the self-driving robo cars that are going to try to kill you. Basically, this company is working with Ford and Volkswagen. They want to basically push out your taxi type services. So they will ride with an employee in the passenger seat, but not in the driver's seat prior to opening up the service to the public. So, Argo's been testing its fourth generation in Miami, Austin, Washington, D.C. the last few years, as well as Pittsburgh, Detroit, and California. The company is preparing a launch to autonomous microtransit and delivery service with Volkswagen in Germany, using the fifth generation tech in 2025. So basically, they're the latest ones to go without this, so better watch out. We have more self-driving cars, and we've seen some footage about what they do. Of course, we can rest assured that Pony.ai is no longer allowed to drive in California, so they loses their permit to test autonomous vehicles with drivers, with a driver in California. What this one didn't, I mean, there might be some backdoor thing going on here. I'm not quite sure I get exactly why this happened. But basically, there are 41 test vehicles in California. There's a total of 71 safety drivers on the permits. It turns out that 3 of those 71 drivers had less than stellar driving records. And for that, the California DMV canceled the entire permit. So it sounds to me like they were looking for an excuse to pull down some of these permits, maybe in response to some of the crazy Tesla stuff that we saw, maybe in response to other issues we are unaware of, maybe in response to a big payout by, I don't know, the last company we looked at. But regardless, because 3 of the 71 safety drivers do not have good safety operation records, the permit to drive, to operate the self-driving cars has been suspended in California. So we'll see what happens from there, but rest assured for now, we are safe from this particular manufacturer. Well, are you sick of picking up toys? Are you sick of doing dishes? Are you sick of making that bed? Well, Dyson have the robot line for you. Dyson's future of home robots want to do it all for you. Company expects its robots to be doing your household chores in a decade. That's right. So Dyson shared the ambitious plans to sell robots that can do your household chores. Company best known for vacuums in the midst of a massive hiring push as it looks to make consumer robots that roam around homes more than just suck up dust. Company wants to put these robots in homes within 10 years. There is a little video down here. Let's see if we can find the video. There's really nothing on here. Mostly it's just a bunch of sales stuff. But here you get an example of one of the robotic arms. Oh, here you go. Here's the things looking for loose change in the furniture. he's like going to find his tip or something, and you're going to catch the robot off in the night on the town. But they're basically utilizing all these different things. There's really nothing in here that excuse me, was that the Shredder? Call the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We got the Shredder. I found the Shredder, guys. The Shredder's over here. Look at this thing. Is that not Shredder? Wow. It's Shredder went trans. Look at that. Well, anyway, Dyson does have the video games there, and not the robots there that wants to do all your chores for you. All right, good luck, I guess. Researchers build the world's smallest remote-controlled walking robots. This is not terrifying. So this is on the edge of a penny. You can see the little thing here. It is smaller than a flea, and it does not actually have any electrical parts. So how they're operating this is by utilizing different types of metals and bends and folds. You can shine lasers on it in a certain pattern, and it's going to allow them to flex and contract in such a way that these little crab guys will walk. And it is actually inspired by a real crab. So that's actually them kind of moving around a little bit. They can actually, with focusing the lasers, they can get them to do very specific things. So here's a few different cases of these types of robotic designs. So just by utilizing certain algorithms in the systems, you can actually force them to do what you want them to do. So based on a crab, looks like a crab. But how long before we start having these things roaming around the buildings, collecting everybody's eye samples? But, that's that. And on to our final story. The New York State is giving out hundreds of robots as companions for the elderly. So they want to have this as a new way to address the loneliness epidemic. Okay, I have news for you. You can get away with the get over the loneliness epidemic by getting out of your house and doing things. Now, this is being targeted towards elderly people 65 and up who have lost their spouse, so they're living alone after a period of time. And it's not just Siri or Alexa, but it can engage users in small talk, helping contact loved ones, and keeping track of health goals like exercise and medication. Great, that's all we need. Anybody else remember iRobot, where they're passing out the robots to everyone in town? It's like everyone's like, I won the lottery, I got them a robot. No, everyone was getting a robot because it was part of the robot's master plan to take over the world. Did you not catch what was going on there? Of course, this is now, there's no lottery. We're just giving these to you. So I'm here for the government, and I'm here to help. Take this robot that's going to collect every bit of data about you. It's going to sit there and talk to you like a creepy thing. Is that thing look like Hal to you? Excuse me, you cannot do that. Please do not do that. I cannot open the door for you, Bob. I mean, I'm telling you, this is kind of crazy. So this is called LAQ. It is a proactive tool, remembers the interactions with individuals, focuses on health and wellness, stress reduction, sleep, hydration, etc. Olson told The Verge, it focuses on what matters to individuals, memories, life validation, interactions with friends and family by talking to a robot. No, this is not memories and life validation by talking to your robot. Yeah, this thing is creepy. I'm not interested. Good night. Good night. Good night. Okay, look at this one here. This is literally telling it to inhale. Okay, this reminds me of that blonde joke. Sorry if you don't like blonde jokes, but a blonde lady walks into a barber shop to get a haircut, and she's wearing these headphones. And she sits down in the barber's chair, and he's cutting around, and he goes to take them off. She says, no, the headphones have to stay on. You got to just work around them. Works around him best he could, but the haircut job looked horrible. So he said, next time I see that woman, I'm going to take those headphones off. So, woman comes in about a month later, gets her to her haircut. She's still wearing the headphones. The guy pulls off the headphones to cut around it, and then he's like, and then she falls over and dies. Dude's like, what's going on? He picks up the headphones, puts them on. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. So yes, this LEQ robot is going to be teaching your elderly loved ones to inhale. Or maybe is this informing Bill Clinton what to do? But I did not inhale! Wow. Well, if you'd like to help support the channel, we do have a Subscribestar page. Subscribestar.com/SwitchedToLinux if you'd like to jump on over there. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux. Thank you for watching this video from Switched2Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.